Hello and welcome to Case Files. I'm your host, Jacob Guerra. Pterosaurs. According to paleontologists, these large aerial flyers died out 155 million years ago. If these creatures are all extinct, then how is it that hundreds of eyewitnesses around the globe are encountering them? Why are paleontologists unwilling to interview these individuals? Maybe perhaps they view these cases as just misidentification, or perhaps the mere mention of a living pterosaur amongst the paleontology community is enough to discredit one's reputation. Enter our network. We search where others will not. This is the field of cryptozoology, the search for the hidden animal. Tonight, you'll hear from two eyewitnesses who believe they've seen these large flying reptiles, and they hail from the state of North Carolina. So stay with us as we launch an investigation and seek the truth together. This is Derrick Yates on the Ropen Network.
Hello, Ms. Guerra. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad for you to, talk to me about the subject.
Well, we're excited to have you. This is one of those subject matters that is shunned. It really is. Whenever you talk about the possibility of living dinosaurs or living pterosaurians, it raises quite the ruckus amongst the paleontology community.
Like your introduction, you talked about the scientific community, isn't too open to any information about living pterosaurs. And what I saw was a real animal. I saw a flying reptile. Now, how far back in the fossil record it goes, I'm not sure. But it exists. Flying pterosaurs, flying reptiles, they do exist. And, we're at the point now, I'm at the point where I want to find more information. The scientific community, they, as soon as you say, I'm kind of at odds on what to call this animal. Like I said, it's a flying reptile. But when you mention the term dinosaur or pterosaur, it kind of like shuts the door. You're like, oh, that's impossible. 65, 100 million years ago, there's no way this creature could be alive. So automatically the door slams shut, and nobody wants to hear it. So, is it a living dinosaur? It very much looks like one. But people get the idea, like you said, a living dinosaur, pterosaur, it's kind of Scooby-Doo.
Now that I've just learned there's three people involved, I must have missed that one. I thought it was originally two, but it's three. Yeah. That makes this even more credible. So tell me about your first sighting, Derrick.
Okay, the first sighting was between myself, my wife, and my son. We went to Guilford County, North Carolina. That's a big box store.
Spell the county for me. Go ahead and spell the county for me, Derrick.
It's a Guilford, Guilford.
All right.
And so it's a typical day. It's a nice sunny day. It was late in the evening. The sun was setting, but still a lot of daylight out. It's real bright. The wind was calm, and it was exiting the box store. I don't really want to say exactly where it is because how the managers of the store and owners of the store feel about added attention. But we exited the store and was walking on the sidewalk, and I always park toward the back of the parking lot. Along the back of the parking lot, there's some woods, and it's also easy to get out, especially if there's traffic and a lot of shoppers. It's easy to get out. Most people park at the front of the store, just on the other end, and there's probably 40 or 50 cars in the parking lot. But we was walking down the sidewalk of the store back to where we parked, and my son exclaimed, "What is that?" And I looked up, and what I saw when I looked up, there was a matte black flying reptile. It's all in flight, and it flew. It's in flight, probably about 15 feet off the ground, and it flew straight around the side of the building. And it was actually gliding. It wasn't flying. It was gliding. The wings were stationary. They were, if you would hold your arms straight out and then bend them downward at the elbow, just have the wings in position. It was flying level. It had a tail. It had two small feet. And the head, the neck was close to the body. The head was oval, shaped like the previous, like a lizard head. There was no feet. It had a snout. absolutely no feathers. It didn't look like it had any kind of hair. The whole creature was solidly colored matte black. And so, if you see something like that, you kind of like, what am I seeing? Is this what I'm seeing? You kind of look at it and it's just, you just awestruck. So we flew around the side of the building. We kind of quickly walked to the car. Let's say my wife and my son and I. And, when we just kind of quickly walked to the car, got to the car, less than a minute, go around to the side of the building where the creature went, and didn't see anything more. Thinking back, maybe my son and I should have said, honey, wait right here. We're going to take off after this thing. Maybe we should have ran after the people. At the time, you don't think of all the options you have. And the whole sighting was about 4 to 5 seconds. There was no time to take out a phone or get any kind of recording or any kind of photo. And you really kind of absorb all the details that you see this thing. So you basically, I'll be able to compare it to as far as you've seen an animal you may have not seen before, but pretty much instantly you know what it is and what it isn't just by observation.
Correct.
So when we go around to the side of the building where the creature flew, if you are looking at the side of the building, on the right side is the building itself. On the left side, you have the river wood. Straight back is like a small, maybe 50-foot wide, what's called like a field or access way that was mowed. And later on, we found out behind the buildings, the mowed field, there's some more woods behind that. Inside the woods is a pond, and then beyond that, there's a residential area. And also, there's two, I guess you call them storm drains. They're about 4 foot by 4 foot concrete block structures that have openings about 10 inches off the ground. And
Derrick, let me stop you for a moment. Okay. The storm drains, this all pertains to your first sighting, correct?
Yes.
Okay, keep going. Keep going.
Okay, so, at the time, we kind of glanced at the area, then the next day we came back, looked at the area, more closely and see the creature itself again, or just kind of see the lay of the land, see what maybe it was doing. And, there's plenty of places it could have gone. It could have, easily turned left and went to the woods and disappeared. It could have just flew back around the side of the building. That's when we got there, back into those woods. I was maybe thinking about when did that storm drain down to the storm drain? I don't know. But my son also said initially when he saw it, my son said, well, what is this? When he first saw it. He said when he first saw it, he was walking, toward the car, toward the wheel line, and he saw it in a tree. It was in a tree, and he noticed a black object in a tree that just didn't look that. And it wasn't foliage, it was just something in the tree. And as soon as he made eye contact with it, that's when it left the tree, took one flap, and started gliding. And that's when he said, well, what is this? And that's when I looked, my wife looked, and we saw it. And the last 4 seconds, probably has went around the building. And so it has some weight to it. You see that when it left the tree, the limb of his own bounced, and it took one flap and flew. And so it was obvious that there was no feathers. It was, it was like a smooth skin, like scale. It was, the light was there, but it was kind of dim, and it's, probably 100 feet away. But we couldn't really get a lot of detail as far as like eyeballs, the mouth. It was solid shapes, but you could tell there was no feathers. It was leathery skin. And at one point, it looked to a beam of light. And on the wing, you see like a shimmer of like oily, kind of like oily wood. Like the frames, you look into a photo, it's kind of like oily sheen, like gasoline or something. Just briefly, it had an oily sheen. Other than that, it was a solid black creature.
Okay. And that was just under the wings? That sheen was just... the oil sheen?
No, it was on top of the wings.
On top of the wings, okay.
Like, if you hold your arms straight out, and fold at your elbows, the shoulders are straight, at the elbows you're folding down. That's how it glides. So on the outside of the wing, when it passes that beam of light, you can see kind of like it didn't change color, it's still black, but it kind of gave a little tint, like some, like oily just for a second. And but other than that, the creature is matte black, and it's one of the deepest, darkest, richest matte blacks I've ever seen on any mammal or bird or anything else. It's an amazing creature.
Do you remember your first sighting there, hearing any sound other than the rustling of the wings that it made, or any smells or anything?
No,
nothing.
No.
Okay.
It's completely
Just quiet as can be.
silent.
Wow. Okay.
4 to 5 seconds was the sighting. 4 to
That's
5
quick. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it is.
45. Yeah,
You'd be surprised how much you can take in with 4 or 5
Yeah.
seconds. Okay.
Yeah, it
Because
depends.
sometimes when you
Yeah.
see something, time stands still for just a moment. And that's where people are saying, did I really see that? Or no, I didn't see that.
Right.
And you try to come up with excuses to say this is not what you saw. But Derrick, when you see a potential living pterosaurian, you're going to know it when you see it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like a typical bird. But this is something we have to do on our end as investigators. These are things we have to apply as practices. But when you see something that's reptilian, their anatomy is not the same as a bird. When you see birds, they're plump.
Yes.
Okay. You see feathers. Immediately you see feathers. You said this thing was smooth skin all the way through.
Yes, very scary. And we've seen ducks, geese, swans, herons, all kinds of waterfowl fowl that fly into the ponds, fly out of the pond. We see them flying overhead, and these creatures in no way, match this creature. Heron is a bigger animal. This creature also is about the size of a goose. It's a small creature. Probably the wingspan was 5 to 6 feet. It wasn't huge. It was big, but it's definitely not.
Say the wingspan again.
5 to 6 feet.
5 to 6.
But it was, definitely like more of a lizard-like head, no beak, no crest, and also on the tail was very rat-like. There's no appendage on the tail. A lot of times we have to careful with that. The wing was like an oval structure. It kind of came more straight out now, and the tips of it were curved, and it came back toward the animal. And a lot of pictures of pterosaurs had their wings, like I said, more like a membrane wing attached to the legs. This did not attach at the legs, it came back attached to the side of the body. And then the body continued, and the feet came outside the body. The wings did not touch the body. The wings were not translucent. They were thickly.
Your encounter was 4 to 5 seconds. It's fast, but there's still enough to take in the larger parts of the creature. Some people take in hand structures, tails, you name it. And that's because it's more visible. This thing was a jet black with an oily sheen, which I found very interesting. Then you also mentioned the storm drains that were nearby that it could be going into, depending on the size. Now you said 5 to 6 feet wingspan.
I'm guessing. Yeah.
Okay.
Probably at least 5 foot.
And I'm not going to say that these creatures are like mammals where they can squeeze like a mouse or a rat and fit into those storm drains. Do you happen to know the size of those storm drains?
Yeah, the opening is about 10 inches. So I know, like mammals such as a cat, they can get in some tight places. Could this thing have flown down to the storm drain, flattened out, and crawled down inside? I don't know. But I'm thinking, why would these creatures be seen more commonly? Do they travel in storm drains? Do they travel through sewer systems? Do they travel through cave systems? I mean, maybe they don't fly. Maybe they use some of our man-made structures to get from area to area. So, when you see such animal, it's just a lot more questions than you have answers.
Exactly. But you're onto something, though, Derrick, because I do think some of my comrades would disagree, but I do think they are nocturnal and subterranean. Usually they would prefer higher altitudes, like mountainous trees, things like that, but they'll find a place to dwell wherever they can. And if the storm drains are something that is more accessible to them and it's close by, they'll take it. And I've had reports of people seeing them in storm drains.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I was going to say real quick. In this area, we do have a lot of gardens, a lot of fields. Depending on what time of year, fruit trees, peach trees, apple trees, plenty of corn, plenty of beans, that kind of thing. So I think there's plenty of food sources for these animals.
It sounds like you're very familiar with the wildlife in your area. You have seen different kinds of avian types. You know what a heron is. Now, everybody comes back to me on this one saying, oh, it was probably a heron. I understand what they're saying, and I understand that they're not trying to be rude or discredit anything. They're just bringing it up. The problem with herons is they're in every state. Okay? Cranes are in every state. When you see it, you're saying, oh, look at the large bird. Why would anybody say, look at the large pterodactyl?
Right?
It's clearly a bird.
And, trying to research this out, we put up flyers in like libraries and different places. We went online, they post, they're trying to see if other people have information about this particular type of creature. And people will suggest that, they say, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. I mean, we would just want to knock out through these other creatures, the other bird, a heron, the light color, maybe some bluish feather, long neck, long, legs. That's not this animal. Eagles and hawks, they fly over common here. And you can see the feathers. You see the end of the wings. They have the feathers displayed out from the ends of the wings. You put in the tail, they have the feathered tail. That's not this creature. An interesting thing, though, talking about hawks and eagles. Back in the 70s, when I was younger, we had no hawks and eagles in this area. I mean, yeah, they were around, but it was very uncommon. And to the point where you saw a hawk, you were playing with the kids in the neighborhood, you would stop and look at, oh, that's a hawk. Or maybe go inside and get mom and dad, hey, there's a hawk out. But nowadays, about any time, I'll probably go outside right now and see a hawk in the sky circling around. So this brings back to the point about what I saw. I was hoping by seeing 2 sightings that maybe this creature maybe was reestablishing itself in an area. Sometimes when a creature's in danger or less common, maybe over a course of time, the population builds up, and hopefully, maybe one day, creatures like these pterosaurs will be more common and more commonly seen.
All right, let's move on. Second sighting, Derrick.
Okay, the first sighting was in April. This sighting will be in June, and it's only 12 miles from the first sighting. Near our house, we have what you call a 4-lane country highway. You have 2 lanes going one direction, 2 lanes going the other direction, and a median in the middle. So both sides of the highway, there's woods, plenty of woods, some scattered houses, farmland here and there. But the biggest spot of the sighting was wood line on both sides of the road. And it's similar to the day as the other sighting. It was getting, dusk. The sun was going behind the trees, but there was plenty of sunlight. The clear day, light breeze, if any breeze. I don't believe there's any breeze at all. So this highway isn't, like I said, it's more like a country road. It's not cars going down it. Certain times of day it's more busy than others. At a particular time of day, there's light travel. So we was in the car, me and my wife, and as we go down the highway, and there's a place that we turn off onto a side of the road, and it has like a little, I guess you call it exit around, and then it leads into the side of the road. So I was driving along, paying attention to the road, and my wife says, is that the same thing we saw, a couple weeks back? And so kind of pointed over outside of the, and she pointed, and so she pointed out to the left side of the window, and I looked out, and there was there's the same creature flying across the highway. When I saw it, it's about the spot where the median of the highway was. And once again, it's just a few seconds, and it pretty much flew over the car. So I saw it through the driver's side window, and as it approached the car, then when it flew over the car, you had to actually bend down and look up through the windshield glass, like kind of bending over the dash, look up through the windshield, see it fly directly overhead. And then once it flew overhead, it got lost above the car. And like I said, there's some woods on the right side, so pretty much I soon flew into the woods, I lost contact with it. So, but, I got a very clear view of the underside of the creature as it flew over.
Okay. The fact that his wife saw it's important.
Yes. Did you notice anything different about the underside than that you didn't notice the first? Did you learn anything new about this one?
Excuse me, what was that again?
Did you learn anything new about this one? Did you see anything in addition to the first one? Or was it identical?
Yes. The first things are obvious. When I saw something the first time, I knew it was a flying reptile. This kind of reinforces that. Yeah, this is a flying reptile. It's the same type of creature. I don't know if it's the same creature, the same type of creature as we saw in the first sighting. And it got the underside view of, saw it's a second so coming toward the car, and one flap, when it got to the medium, it did take one flap. The wings moved at the shoulders, moved up. They kept I guess what's called the middle part of the wing, kept it hanging down, moved up the shoulder, did one flap, kept gliding. And then the creature flew to the car, and as I looked at the windshield, saw the wings of the creature. It's not the telephone poles. The telephone poles are probably 2 feet high. There's another about 4 feet above the car flew over. Once again, it was matte black. Saw the inside of the creature. Not a lot of details of the head, but once again, the head was oval. Very lizard-like, no feet. Short neck, the neck pretty much right over the body. And then as it flew over, the wings were straight out, and also being down to midsection. The wings were very solid. Wings were solid, matte black. There was no claw being on the edge of the wing. They were not folded, they weren't sprayed out. And, once again, obviously no feathers at all from the wings, no feathers from the body, no feathers from the tail. It flew over the car, and at the back of the creature, you saw both legs. They're very short. They weren't hanging out from the animal. It was straight out from the back. 3 toes on each leg. You can see the light between the toes. And then that rat-like tail between the legs, went straight out. No appendage on it. Straight out between the 2 feet. And, it kind of surprised me, because a lot of times you see an animal, a bird or something, maybe it'd be one color variation on top of the animal, and underneath it might be a little bit lighter. Mm-hmm. This creature still, saw from the side view, first time, saw from the bottom view, matte black. Solid matte black. There's no coloration on the head, no coloration on the other side. Tail is matte black, the feet matte black. And it just reinforced what we saw the first time, that these creatures are real, and it's a reptile. There's no feathers on it. I'm assuming it's not a mammal. I mean, it could have light fur, but there's no indication at all of any fur on the animal. So what does that leave? It wasn't an insect. I guess the past population has ties with insects. This is definitely not an insect. It's a flying reptile.
Okay.
How exciting, Derrick. How exciting. Twice, too.
Oh, yeah, very exciting. Yeah. Once again, it's 4 to 5 seconds you see the animal. And so there's no time to, grab the phone to try to focus on it. Even opening the app on my phone, I can't open the app in 4 or 5 seconds.
Oh, no.
That's the question that a lot of people will ask. Where's your phone? How can you not record this? Well, there's a reason why. It's not that simple. Right. You have to be trained to do this almost immediately.
And who's expecting to run into one of them?
Right. If you're seeing something so exotic, it's going to be that tough.
Yep, like that. Yeah. Now, looking around local communities, local social media, I know like a lot of people have Facebook neighborhood. Is there any other people that have reported seeing it? Anybody else feel brave enough to come out? Because a lot of times people may see it, but not want to come out because of the pressure that comes.
Yeah, that's another thing. Somebody said that who's going to see something like this. I would think we would have seen living near the Guerra National Forest is only 30 minutes away from my house. I would expect to see something like a Bigfoot, sightings in the Guerra National Forest. You don't expect to see a flying reptile,
right?
Called a pterosaur. Yeah, you just don't expect it, especially twice.
Let's talk about something real fast. Yeah. You said 40 feet up. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think you can make a good estimate from seeing something 40 feet up?
Yes. Because like I said, it's a flying over the telephone poles, and it has some wires going across the road. So it cleared those. I assume another 10 foot above those. And if it flies directly over the car on a sunny day, you have a direct view of it. Yeah.
Do you think there's a possibility that the skin might have had some sort of fibers on it? I know you mentioned no feathers, but maybe there was some sort of fiber that was smooth on this creature. Do you think that's a possibility, Derrick?
No, there's no indication of that. Just smooth, leathery skin.
The pointy tail actually kind of confuses me a bit, but there might be an answer for that. Because look, he's right. He mentioned the fact that the fossil record says this and this.
Right.
It's kind of vague sometimes.
Yep.
Because we're basing on what we have found thus far.
Yes.
And remember, as I've told people over the years, and this is a fact, there's not that many pterosaur researchers out there, paleontologists.
No.
There's not that many pterosaur investigators, a part of cryptozoology,
Yes.
out there. So two major problems.
Well, when we get down to it, all these creatures, all these animals are created by our Heavenly Father.
Amen.
Created by God. And I'm blessed to have seen this creature twice.
Yes.
And anything's possible for our Heavenly Father. So, just to say these animals can't exist, for our scientific minds, because we can't comprehend it, doesn't mean that through God's works, these things can exist. And like I said, I'm blessed to be able to have seen this creature
I'll
twice.
say is.
Yes, you are. Yes.
It makes a lot of us wish we were there with you at
That's
that moment
right.
of time. I can guarantee you that. Derek,
Well,
is there
a
one
lot
more
of
sighting
people
involved?
have seen it. No, just a two sighting.
Okay. All right. Then I think we're ready to move forward.
Okay.
So this is the fun part, folks. We are going to try to come up with something different here to try to understand what it is he saw. I've been wanting to implement this for quite a while, but finally we've gotten to a point where we can start tackling this in a more scientific way.
Right.
And that means you have to start creating a process of elimination. What you have to do is, when you're in the field, you do these things. But on this show, we haven't implemented this yet.
Okay.
We're going to. Okay. Now you're looking at the first image I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does that bear a resemblance?
No. Once again, this creature appears to have feathers. It looks like a beak. The one I saw had definitely a snout. Like I said, we couldn't see a lot of details of the face of the animal, but it is definitely, it also had a light coloration. It's definitely not a creature.
Okay. We'll move on to the next.
And once again, you can clearly see feathers on this animal. Feathers on the wings, on the body. Color variations. This definitely is not what I saw. Also, it appears to have a beak.
What about this guy here?
And once again, it looks like it's got fur, and the coloration is totally off. So it's got head appendages. The creature I saw, the head was smooth, no appendages, ears, or kind of cartilage or anything on top of the head. And the coloration is totally wrong.
Good. That helps to understand a few things. Just for everyone who's going to be watching, this is a nightjar. Okay. Doesn't he look unique?
Right. I did not know what that was.
Now,
I've never
right.
seen such
If
a
you've
thing.
never seen something like this before,
It's crazy.
you might think he's a reptile.
Right.
Yeah, but he is not. He's a bird. Yeah. So that's good. Good to know, Derek. Okay, let's move on to the next file. One moment. Let me get there.
The creature is not it. It's definitely like a heron or a stork type animal. The wing, what he's holding its wings is totally different. It's got a long, the bill, feet hanging down. It's definitely what I saw.
Okay. That's good. Then let's move on to the last file, which is Pterosuspects. So the first one, I'm looking at an Anurognanathidae. This is one of the family members, okay?
Okay.
It's definitely not it. The body structure is just too plump. The wing structures doesn't match. The coloration, of course, is going to be off. But the head and everything just, and according to this example, it definitely has some fur on it.
Okay.
Or sort of feather-like, fiber structures. It's definitely not.
Definitely
the same
not.
animal.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Here's another guy, part of the family.
And this
Batrognathus.
example, the wing does look similar.
Okay.
The structure of the wing, there was no claws visible. The wing did not attach to the feet. The wing attached back to the body. The feet was coming up from behind the body.
Above the hip.
No.
Derek, above the hip, the wing attached.
Yeah, the wing attached. It was attached on the shoulder. It's good placement. But then when it came back at the bottom, it attached to the body. It didn't attach to the leg structures.
Okay, so we got some
And
here.
yeah,
Right.
Just a part of the anatomy, not the whole thing, because This is not your creature, but there's some similarities, right?
Well, the shape of the wing. The shape of the wing is similar. How it kind of curves up front. There was no finger structures visible, but it was a solid wing, and it was, it was rounded up at the end, like this was, and it kind of curved back. But it would attach to the body. But the head shape was more like a lizard walking.
Yep.
I guess like a skink head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's a good comparison too.
Skink head.
Mm-hmm.
To enlighten the general audience, the Anurognanathidae, they have large eyes so they can see better during the night.
Okay.
Dimorphondontidae.
Okay.
And these are all these are all within the.
They are.
Okay. John.
This is what I have actually set aside because I'm trying to find some sort of similarity.
Yes. All the same family though.
Salestaventis.
And once again, it doesn't look like anything like I saw. The head pretty long. Once again, they put fur, the fibers on the body, what you're going to call them. The only thing you take from this animal, the tail, it's got an appendage on the end of the tail. Take the appendage off, and that's similar to the rat-like tail that this animal had.
Okay. I was wondering.
It was held straight off the body and curved or whatever. I'm sure it probably could curve. It kind of was a deep stitch or something, but when applied, the tail was straight out behind the body between the two legs.
Okay. It didn't extend past the two legs?
Huh?
It didn't extend past the two legs? It was the same length?
No, it extended past. Like, it's how this animal is. It's probably about the same length.
Oh, wow.
From the
Okay.
body, if you cut the
very
appendage
long
off
tail.
the end,
Yeah,
and
it is a long
put
tail.
the tail straight out behind the animal, it's probably the same length, same rat-like
Just nothing on the
tail.
end.
Just on the end. Right.
All right, let's move
And
on.
no appendage. Once again, it would be possible that it may have an appendage and it could flake outward, and maybe it could curl it back in. I don't know. It could be possible. I'm not sure, but there was nothing apparent in the animal I saw. It was just a straight rat-like tail, same color as the body.
And this one is Pterosaurus or Pterosaurus. I better start calling it out for the audience. 'Cause
Yes,
I'm not gonna
yes.
know. If I don't call it out, Jeff, call it out for me, will you?
Okay.
Okay. Here's a better image of Pterosaurus. What do you think of that?
Oh, nice.
The head, the head is similar. I had that, I call it a skink head,
Yeah.
had a rounded head, but I could see details of the head as far as eyes, the mouth. The mouth was closed. Once again, this is like a smaller animal, and the coloration is off. And once again, there's no appendage on the tail. But if this, the body shape is close. It's showing more like membrane type wings.
Okay.
The wings I saw were very solid, and it didn't see the creature sitting on the ground. When my son saw it in the tree, it was sitting in a tree. But it seemed like the animal probably, if you ever see like a stray cat in the yard, you trying to walk up on it, it lets you get to a certain point and it takes off, it goes off into direction. You get away
Yeah.
from it. So like how this creature was, it was sitting in the tree, and I'm sure it saw us before we saw it. And I'm sure it was watching us. And at some point in its mind, I'm sure it's saying, okay, these people get too close. Because it appeared like it was walking toward us, like it was walking that direction, straight in the line of sight. And I'm sure it felt at some point, if we got too close to this one, fly, which it did. And it seemed like my son was saying, as soon as he kind of made eye contact and looked up at it, it sort of like sensed like, oh, I've been sighted, and it took off. And it wasn't like just flying around like, oh, where do I go? It seemed like it had a determined path to go to, like it knew the area and it wanted to fly to escape, to go
Okay.
hide, get it.
Very
So-
nice. Good.
And so it's like it was in the tree, and as soon as my son saw it in the tree, it came out of the tree. So he didn't really get a good glimpse of how it was sitting or the posture it had in the tree. We assumed it was sitting upright, feet attached to a limb, and then, like I said, as soon as the scene, kind of jumped out of the tree and spread its wings and took
Okay.
on lap and continued to glide.
Okay, Derek, so you think that this might be closer as far as the head?
Yeah, the head
We're making some connections here.
Yes.
The body probably be a little bit more plump, a little bit more, more to the body. As far as the look of the head, it's more compared to what we've seen also in some other photographs. It's closer.
Okay. That helps to nail it down a little bit more. And we've already established a tail, too, and some wings from the others. So, interesting concoction here that we're getting of some of these guys.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Smorgasbord.
And a lot of stuff based off the fossil record just comes from, some bones and maybe some impressions in the ground and different things. It's, seeing the actual animal in person and then trying to go back and match it to something that's an interpretation, it's difficult to do. So it's hard to figure out how the animal skeleton would, once you get the muscles and tissues and all that on it, what the actual form would look like with a lot of these animals.
Exactly. I do have all the images that you did share with me about the location. And I understand about not wanting to give out too much. That's completely, I completely agree with that. There's certain things you shouldn't.
And there was no cameras attached to the store or anything that you could ask to review?
That's what I was going to say. Like I said, this is a big box store. I didn't want to, give up location because I don't know how the owner's management feels about it. But there are security cameras in the parking lot. But, you don't want to go asking about store security.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I think I've seen a dinosaur.
Probably
cameras.
not.
Yeah.
Probably not. Okay.
For what I'm, gathering from talking to other people that work with stores and stuff about, not this store, but other stores, they have security cameras, but they're on loops. And so they're not going to look at the footage unless, say, there's an accident or a crime coming in the parking lot. Then they will go to the, the footage for and look at it. If there's no reason to pull the footage, it just gets overridden. It just gets recorded over. So it's very real possible this creature could be on footage, but nobody's going to look at it.
What a shame.
And then whether or not the footage is still there, too. This happened last year, so not too long ago.
Yeah.
It's a possibility. I appreciate your testimony. I really do. I'm glad you were willing to be seen and heard, even though we had a little bit of problems with the audio. We'll see if we can rectify that, okay? But I know I got to let you go. Thank you so much for being here on the Ropen Network. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Derrick. It's nice meeting you.
No, thank you. And just want everybody to know that this is a living creature, and just people need to pay more attention to their surroundings. And when you're outside, just all you can do is look at it. It's hard to pinpoint a moving target like this to find out, its range, where it's located, or its habitat, or it's, where it's, But all you have to do is just keep your mind open, keep your eyes open, and that's all. Just be open to possibilities. These creatures are there, and they're there.
Fully agree.
Yes.
Derrick, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Well, thank you very much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
The RRN Ropen Radio Network is brought to you by 511 Tactical. Always be ready. By Creation Evidence Museum of Texas. God's Word in 6 days. And by the Wildlife Safari, America's top cheetah breeding program. You are closer to Africa than you think.
So that was Derrick Yates on the Ropen Network. Jeff, what an exciting interview.
Oh, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. And, one thing why aren't paleontologists willing to interview? You don't ever see that happen from the mainstream point of view to even entertain the idea or hear it. Why the reluctance?
I think that's a really, really good question a lot of people aren't asking. And to start off with, I would say to assume that maybe wildlife biologists or paleontologists aren't willing to go out there is not entirely true. Okay. Here's my personal thoughts on this. There are people who are going out there and looking in these remote regions or wherever you see something that might be dinosaur related. Okay. They're very few in number. There's not many of them. I can guarantee you that. Okay. But they are doing it. There have been people in the past who have been wildlife biologists or paleontologists that have gone out looking. Here's the problem, though. They will tell you if you are not a certified or qualified paleontologist or wildlife biologist, then you shouldn't be going and looking. Okay? They told us to Rory Nugent. They told us to Roy Mackle when he went out looking for the sauropod in the Congo. Okay, if that's the case, then when are you going to do it then? I would ask the question of them.
Okay.
I would say, okay, look, if we're not qualified, then are you going to go look? Well, heck no. Why? Well, because we don't believe these creatures are out there. It's myth and legend. I see. And then they put it into the category of unicorn. Red flag right there, though, Jeff. If they would look at the Webster Dictionary, what unicorn is, it means singular horn of an animal. Rhinoceros.
Yes.
Minoceros. Okay? Monoceros. So that's the wrong attitude to have for this. If they're not going to go looking, then I will.
Right.
Okay, fine. I go out and look. What's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to write a blog about how they're ridiculing our efforts, even though they said we won't go out and look. You take a few examples of people who have chosen to go look for themselves. Papua New Guinea, Monster Quest episode, Dave Martle went with Garth Guessman out there to look for the Ropen.
Oh, wow.
Okay. He was willing to do it. Well, they also paid him pretty well, too.
I bet they did, yeah. Cash is king.
It is, yeah. It's money talks. But he did write an article later on that kind of poked fun at the subject. Glenn Cuban poked fun at the subject. Riley Black poked fun at the subject. These are people who are writing blogs. And unfortunately, when you go to Google and type in the word Ropen, which refers to living pterosaur, the first thing that's going to pop up is "Don't Get Strung Along" by the Ropen Myth.
Oh, wow.
By Riley Black. I actually did a video on this to counter that. Okay. These are people who sit behind the desks, the lab coat wearers, the bloggers. They will not venture that direction. But yet, if we do, what's the first thing they do? Ridicule it.
There's an agenda, obviously.
There's a clear agenda behind it. It's unfortunate because if you are a respected paleontologist, you're probably not going to want to dip your hands in the cookie jar of this one. Because this is, you lose credibility amongst your peers.
So your career and your cash flow are on the line, is what you're saying.
Potentially.
Yep.
Yeah. You'd be surprised. There might be a good amount, a handful of people out there who are willing to discuss this subject.
Right.
But I guarantee you if they were to start a show where they would interview eyewitnesses, it won't last very long.
Okay.
They might interview a few and then drop it. Because it looks bad on their record, doesn't it?
It does, yes.
Yeah. But I challenge them. If you're really against this whole phenomena, then why don't you interview these people?
Right.
At least a couple times.
Yeah.
It won't continue like you and I are doing, though.
And in fact, that's what scientists is. You take it, you interview, that's basic science, and they refuse to do it.
Unfortunately.
Right.
That's the dilemma we are facing.
I've also heard that they will no longer, the museums in particular, will no longer carbon date bones, dinosaur fossils, because, they're not going to have any carbon anyway. But I heard it happened after they did date some, and it showed that it was young, and that's why they refuse to do it anymore. Is there any truth to that?
That actually sounds like Bob Enyart in his conversation with Jack Horner.
Okay.
Bob Enyart, a very famous radio show host, said, "Hey, look, if money's a problem, Jack, we'll compensate you." He's like, "No, that's not it." "Well, what is the problem, Jack?" He said, "Well, you're a creationist. I'm an evolutionist." And that was left at that.
Wow.
So you see what we have to fight with.
It goes all the way back to the spiritual.
When it comes to research, evolutionists get their salaries for this. We don't.
Right.
We have to come up with our own money.
Yes.
But we're at least doing something about it.
That's right.
We choose to venture where others will not.
And it's only a matter of time, especially with all technology and the cameras and everything we have, before something finally gets through their efforts to withhold it. When that happens, do you foresee the local church, the naysayers, the people that claimed you wear a tinfoil hat, going to you for advice, going to you, the expert, or are they going to be like, I'm all on their own, and still ridicule and minimize the efforts of cryptozoologists now?
I think the efforts will change.
Okay.
It will get better. I'm still not going to say that they're going to be on board fully on board with that whole phenomena. Maybe eventually. They need a little bit more convincing, don't they?
Yes, they do.
But they have quite a bit to go off of, don't they?
Yes.
They have the foundation. So the foundation is creation.
That's right.
What comes after that? It could potentially lead into this field.
Yep.
If they're willing to have eyes to see and ears to hear.
That's right.
But I think that the wheels are turning. That something is definitely changing here.
it's so hard for people to break out of their
Bubble.
bubble. Yeah. Even if it's right before your eyes, right before your face. Yeah.
It is very difficult. This is
It
the
is.
Western world in which we live in.
Yep.
Okay. They believe only what was in this circle of what they see is all there is to it.
Yes.
But this world is huge. It's vast. And these creatures are very elusive.
Yep.
Okay. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't believe in it.
That's right.
I do believe there are some survivors that are making a comeback.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's new species found every day. Every day there's something found in the ocean here or there.
Oh, like the
Yeah.
coelacanth,
Yes.
which you can find off the Indian Ocean too.
Oh wow.
Originally found off the coast of South Africa back in the 1930s. A Cretaceous fish that's not supposed to be alive, but there it was.
Right.
Now, a fish is good, but we really need a more solid specimen to really convince them.
I hear you.
But
yeah.
even if we did, Jeff, if we captured a living pterosaur, I guarantee you they're going to say, look, this one survived for millions of years.
Yep. Yeah.
Raleigh, North Carolina, was founded in 1792 and was the first state capital to be planned and established by the state. Named after Sir Walter Raleigh, the English explorer who attempted to establish the first colony in the New World in the 1580s. The northern cardinal is the state bird of North Carolina. These bright red birds are common in forests, woodlands, and residential areas. They are known to frequent bird feeders in the communities. If we are to understand what transpired that fateful afternoon in June of 2017, one must first know the difference between bird and reptile. After all, it is very unlikely that someone would mistake this for this. Eyewitnesses have claimed they have seen these creatures alive today, with reports going back at least a half a century. This is the Purr and Bark Veterinary Hospital located on Garvey Drive in Raleigh, North Carolina. It was June 2017 when Cynthia Striving was finishing her internship at the Purr and Bark, a unique veterinary hospital for those in search of a relaxed, personal, yet professional veterinary experience. On this particular sunny afternoon, Cynthia's shift at the Purr and Bark had ended around 6 p.m. She gathered her belongings and began to make her way to the nearest bus stop, which was located on Durant Road 206. She was met by a Hispanic male, probably somewhere in his early 40s. He, too, was patiently waiting for the bus to arrive. Minutes had gone by, and the bus had still not come. The landmark was just across the street from the Purr and Bark on the left, roughly 7/10 of a mile up the road. It didn't appear as if anything out of the ordinary would happen on this warm day in June. Having said that, sometimes when you least expect it, the unthinkable happens. A large, dark shadow appeared on the ground. It was the silhouette of a menacing-looking form that drew in Cynthia's attention. Her eyes widened with great interest. Just then, Cynthia looked up. And there, in all its glory, she realized she was looking at a pterodactyl. Cynthia was now in absolute shock. She could not believe her own eyes. The creature was large, brownish in color with a long tail, which possessed a protruding appendage at the end. The appendage resembled a strange flange, much like an ace of spade. The flying reptile's head sported a unique crest of some sort, which was a bit darker in color. The creature made no sound, but gracefully glided overhead with hardly any flap of its wings. It passed over the tree lines, and then it was gone. Still disturbed by the sighting, Cynthia turned her gaze over at the man next to her, hoping he too had seen the flying beast. Unbeknownst to her, the man had surveyed the pterodactyl as well, providing the same vivid description. He too was in shock at what he had observed. As the bus approached on Durant Road, Cynthia and the man may have had time to gather their thoughts and exchange a few words, perhaps still in disbelief as to what they had just witnessed. It would not be the only encounter Cynthia would have with a living Pterosaurian, as the creature was seen again in 2018.
Hi, my name is Cynthia. I'm going to tell you about the time I saw a pterosaur. It was back in January 2018. I'm a registered veterinary technician, and I was on my way to work, and it had snowed the night before. I was riding along in the car, and the vehicle that I was in had an open sunroof. And I looked up, and I saw it flying over the car, and it looked exactly like the one I saw back in 2017. I was in complete shock. I couldn't believe it because I didn't think I was going to see it again. But, you know, God made all creatures and they all exist. So it was amazing. It was when I was in Raleigh, over there by Atlantic Avenue, right before you turn on East Six Forks Road. That's where I saw it.
What was it that Cynthia saw? What kind of pterosaur may it have been if it was in fact a flying reptile? The creature's head crest is perhaps the most perplexing of the description. Without it, we could assume this apparent pterosaur belonged to the family of Raparincidae, or even Genuinopterus. The crest alone does not match any known fossil records found of pterosaur species. At least, not yet.